Hey guys, what's going on? So we're back again with another of our sort of world tour series that we've been doing. And in this one, we're going to be really focusing on some of the builds we've been doing more recently on our Twitch stream, which you can find the link down here below for, guys. We do that every Tuesday at about 1 p.m. Eastern time, so if you want to hop into the stream and just chat, if you want to ask some questions, or if you actually want to participate and build your own thing, you're welcome to do so, and obviously we're happy to see you. So in the meantime though, what I wanted to show today, guys, was some of these builds that we've been working on. They really focus around sort of making kind of a village and expanding on that, and then also really focusing on using just sort of the wood and stone elements that you find. It's something I'm really comfortable with, and it's something that I'm hoping you guys can see you can do a lot of different things with. One of the things also with these sort of series, guys, and these videos, is what I want to do is to get you guys a bit more familiar with sort of the thinking process that I'm going through. There will be speed build videos either already out that you can look at, or that will be coming out related to these videos. That'll sort of show you exactly how I build them, obviously sped up, and then of course you can then come back to this if you need to and check out just some of the basic thinking, because I think sometimes people get lost a little bit in the building mechanic of Terraria, which I get, right? So I'm hoping if you guys have questions, always feel free to leave a comment below. But with that out of the way, guys, let's jump right in. And before we jump in, some people, before you comment on it, and we've had this discussion on my stream, is yes, I know my hair is crazy, okay? That's why I'm wearing a hat. And part of that is because we are still in lockdown here, and so I can't get a haircut. And other than shaving it all off, this is what I got. So yeah, let's get to the builds. Alright guys, so as always, we're going to start with just some of the basic materials that we use. And as you can see, this chest is full. Granted, I am highlighting a number of paints. I try to focus on some of the more unique aspects of the build. Now, I finally got my hands on some of these tiled walls. So I have a green tiled wall, blue slab wall, and blue tiled wall. Now, these are from the dungeon, and I really recommend trying to play around with these because they're really quite different and distinct. And I find they stand out quite nicely. So I was a fan of them. I enjoyed them. The other thing we used a bit was grate. And then, yeah, nothing too crazy. These are all things you can find early. Brown mossy walls, also maybe sort of these background ivy stone, that kind of thing. But, you can use kind of interchangeably. I just really liked some of these tiled walls, and I was happy to use them. We also use a mahogany wand. That's not unique, but I don't use it all the time. So, yeah, we kind of just played around. So, guys, if you have any questions about specific things here, just feel free to pause the video here. You can take a look at each thing individually just by visualizing. I should say, actually, the logic gate lamp is something I use to make kind of like a pipe work along with the logic gate itself. That's unique, I suppose, as well, but you'll notice it. So, anyways, so these are all the materials we used. If you have any questions, like I said, just feel free to leave a comment below. Just let me know what build you were looking at. We'll be looking at 2 builds today, guys. And so this is the first one. All right, guys, so here is the build. Now, what you'll notice probably really quickly is the chimney. It's a bit of a different design, a bit unique. There's a couple of things I might want to change with it, but I wanted something that looked like you were looking at it from the side. And I think this really looked pretty good. Let's bring up our cursor here so you can see. So just so I'm pointing at it, you can kind of see an interesting design element here. The idea, like I said, was just to have something that looked like you were sort of seeing it through sort of a view where you've cut it in half vertically. So kind of like you're X-raying through. And I like the way it turned out. There's nothing crazy here in terms of the build. I probably would have liked to switch out this boreal wood here, but we're going to keep it. It just adds a different kind of element. We probably should have done something different, but I don't go back and change builds, guys. Once I think they're done, I just leave them, and I'm pretty happy with the result there. So, and then obviously the next piece is here where we use the grate. We just wanted to put this in to make a window and just make it look like it was more embedded. And this wall here is actually where you see that tiled wall, the green tiled wall, I believe. That kind of goes off on an angle, and I really like the way it looks because it's still stone. It doesn't look like it's coming out at you. It still looks like it's in the background, and I just really like the look. So I'm going to be using more of that certainly in the future. I just got to find good use cases for it. But the idea was basically to keep this kind of its own piece and its own shell, and it really turned out well. As you can see as well, the roof, guys, is something that I still have to work on. This is one that turned out okay considering it looks different. I just don't love this main piece here. And, I thought about maybe smoothing this out and hammering it down and stuff, but I just left it. It doesn't look the best, I don't think. There's probably a way to make this a little bit cleaner looking. It looks good, I think, but like always, it's one of those things where it's just, trying to tweak your roofs, try to practice at different techniques. and you'll kind of come up with something you like. So that really is probably the big things that for me I struggled with. And then some unique features. I thought one thing that I really like that I've been doing recently, some of the builds, is obviously you can see these windows here. Now these windows, I've done this technique quite a bit. This one I enjoy, but I decided to make some smaller ones, and I actually like the way it turned out, where we now frame them with some living wood wall, and then you can use kind of any sort of, I guess, framing type of. I use this as a kind of a framing type of wall, and yeah, it turned out okay. There's things here I would probably change. I might make this even and maybe make this come up, but because we put a painting here, I thought it looked okay. The next thing is this window technique. A lot of people in the stream at least have been asking about how to do this. You're gonna put glass wall, and then all you have to do is actually just put glass block over top, and then you just hammer it into position. Once you've hammered it into the shape that you want, in this case these sort of diamond shapes, then you just actuate it. So that actuating just pushes it to the background, and you end up with this really kind of cool effect on the windows, and it's pretty easy to do. It just takes a bit more time than obviously just putting down a glass wall or a glass block like this, but it gives a cool illusion. And so again, this kitchen was meant to look kind of very sort of sparse, sort of easy. I really like the way this turned out. This is where you can see the logic gate, and this makes it look like it's kind of like a little, that's where like, all the smoke might go out. And here's just a bowl painted black that kind of looks like a sort of skillet of kinds. And the cool thing with this is if you're painting it black, you can literally use almost any dresser. I think here I used an ebonwood dresser, but again, you can kind of use anything as long as you paint it black. This one just has a kind of a, I don't know, it looks like an old school wooden stove, to me. So I thought it was kind of a nice little touch. Other than that, guys, the build itself is not too crazy. A lot of this is just wood and stone, as you can obviously tell. You could use different materials where you wanted to. And one thing I recommend too when you're building, you can kind of get this a bit here where you start seeing these elements of the thickness here that I'm adding by adding just, here's the wood framing, and what I've done is just added a little layer of stone around, and that kind of just gives it a different look and feel and makes it look more robust. Same here. It's really just, you're just kind of capping off the ends of what you've built. The next thing I'll talk about is the stairs. A lot of people have been talking to me or asking me questions, in Twitch during our stream about how I do these stairs. Now you can do them a multitude of different ways. I do have probably cleaner looking versions of this. In this case, we used some beam. I believe this is mahogany beam, but you don't need to do this. You could literally use fence if you wanted to. And then we obviously just put our platforms and make a different stair, a different background to make it look like stairs, and then we kind of go off at an angle and put it in. Again, this is not the cleanest looking stair, but it's a technique you can use to kind of break it up and make it look a little bit more sort of three-dimensional without doing all that more work. And then other than that, guys, one thing I still got to work on is, of course, my landscaping. This is something that I'm still working on. I know, like here you can see that this is not blended in with the sandstone, which we've painted gray, but I like the way the tree turned out, so that's an improvement. I think my trees, my custom trees, or whatever you want to call them, are looking a bit better. I probably would have, if I came back to fix this, I would probably add some roots, just to make it look a little more interesting. And the plants themselves are, I could probably vary the plants a little bit. But I made this as all built by me, it's all custom. And again, guys, there will be a speed build of this, so you can actually see how I build all of this out. And you'll see some of the difficulties I go through where I kind of build something, like a tree, and then I might change something on it and keep modifying. And that's really what a lot of building is you just modify till you're happy, but it's always easy to come back and want to change stuff. So, guys, that'll do it for this one. If you have any questions, let me, know in the comments down below, and we will move on to our second build of the day. All right, guys, so here we are at our second build. We'll only be doing two today, because I really want to go a little bit more in-depth into sort of what I've been doing and what my thinking is. So in this one, you can see there's a lot less being used than in our first build. Really basic materials. Again, here you see the green tile wall, which I'm really a fan of right now. I'm gonna find better ways to use it, but I'm enjoying using it, and I think it looks good. It looks good with Evanstone brick as well. So nothing crazy here. Again, guys, feel free to pause the video so you can see what each of these things are. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I will get back to you on what something is. But again, we're using great. Here we have some Krampus horn wallpaper. I've been using this wallpaper bit. It's interesting. I like it. It's not like it's not mind-blowing or anything like that, but it just has a nice sort of design element to it, and I'm a fan. So nothing unique really here, guys. Maybe some wood shelves, you could argue, but again, that I don't consider anything here too different from what I normally might use. Like I said, the only exception might be the green tiled wall, a grate, and obviously we use a bit of minecart track for rails. So other than that, we only use really 4 paints. shadow paint and some red paint, and you will see exactly where we put all those. So let's go check it out. All right, guys, so here we are at our second build, and you can really see, obviously, that the other build is right here to the side. I just was trying to sort of separate them. Again, this design, guys, the idea is we're sort of making a village that a couple of series of like interesting looking buildings side by side, but that use similar materials. So obviously this one's quite a bit different. Again, guys, nothing too crazy. We took the exact same design elements that we took from the first build, you know, using this grate and to make kind of an interesting window. Same feature. Here we have that green tiled wall that I'm really liking quite a bit, and I think it looks nice, looks in place. You know, we added here a bit of a difference here was adding our doors that you can actually connect to. So these actually are teleport. These are hooked up and you just teleport between the two. And, you know, just little features like that, again, they add a little to the build without, you know, being too exciting or too crazy. We used a lot more of the window technique I was mentioning, where you put glass wall followed by glass blocks, which you then hammer into the position that you like, and then you actuate. So, you know, we did that kind of everywhere. I want to keep that sort of theme going through. And I actually kind of like the way it looks. It looks a bit more, I don't know if it's more interesting, but it gives it a bit more feel to it, because I'm not adding banners and that kind of stuff everywhere. I want to keep it a little bit more open, so I think this added the detail that we might have otherwise been missing. Here you guys can sort of see the Krampus wallpaper I was talking about. This is unpainted, I believe. It's always got this kind of white and brown tones to it. And I just wanted to use it to break up the room a little bit more. I really like the way this roof turned out. Again, maybe you could make some different changes here. You could add some things. You know, this is really just 2 layers of just your typical standard Evanstone brick. And then what we've done is we just hammer one of those layers. So in different places, make it look like a little bit more sort of castle-like. And here we took a totally different sort of cue on it. Now, initially I was going to flatten this out, but I kind of liked the way it looked. It kind of just looked a little different, a little bit more clunky, and yeah, I could have smoothed this out, but again, we kept this. And these are things that you might change or you might want for yourself, or, you know, want to have a cleaner look to it. That's totally up to you. That's the beauty, guys, of building. So, but the roofing in general in this build I thought turned out quite well. There might be some things I may change or I might like to add if I were to come back and touch things. As I said, though, I don't do that. Once the build is sort of done and I'm showing it to you guys, I don't go back and touch it. Another really cool feature here is this staircase. Now, this one I think is much better than the first one, which you can obviously go back in this video if you want to check out and kind of compare them. But this one to me is a better sort of style. Now, the other one I had 2 vertical beams that went all the way up, and I think this one just sort of looks better. Now, what I would do here is probably change the background wall here, maybe not make it brown, because you can it kind of stands out, but not enough. Here we put our rail down. This is our minecart track. Sorry, I can't speak. Minecart track, and you can kind of see just the basic mechanic of it, right? We just have a staircase, a fence that's a bit higher, that connects in, and then you kind of have a stair with a railway, or rail that you can hold on to. So nothing crazy, but it does look, I think, pretty good. And then otherwise, you know, we try to start separating this place into sort of different rooms. And I think now one thing I've started to do a bit more is have an idea of a build that I'm going to make. So I might say, hey, I'm going to build this sort of lodge thing. And then what I'm going to do is frame it. And by framing, I mean, I'm going to start figuring out just general like shape and design. Once I've got the shape and design, what I do is I now start to think about what each room is going to be. So, and as an example, when I built this, and if I partition this off and then I make a second level that's kind of off, I think about, okay, well, what is this going to be? In general, you know, it's just thinking about the rooms as their own thing, and that really helps me start to think about the design, the shape, that kind of thing. So it's actually been helping me speed up my building a little bit, which has been helpful because, again, guys, these builds do take me a while to do, and we do them, like I said, on stream every Tuesday at about 1 p.m. Eastern time, but you'll see that it takes me a while. Now, some days I do things a bit quicker, some days I don't, but this is just sort of how it is. I like the way the windows turned out. I like how I'm using different woods to kind of frame it. Just even the lighting just being level is nice. Just having different design elements and really just kind of keeping it, you know, sort of in that same theme, letting the windows kind of be big and open, but also using that this technique where we have the sort of diamond shaped pattern in front of it. So a lot of cool little things and little features, but again, nothing that's too cluttered or too busy, you know, trying to keep some spaces open. The other thing we did here is obviously we tried to build our foundation. Now, initially I was going to make a false foundation where this is hollowed out, but I really liked how it just kind of felt like it was more embedded into the stone, so I kept that. And then, of course, I got ourselves a wonderful, beautiful, tremendous custom tree. And this one could use a few more branches. I still think that. But it's not too bad, and we actually did add the roots on this one. So again, the roots and that kind of thing, you can make them more messy, you can make them more interesting, and we made ourselves a little bridge here. For anyone who has questions about the bridge, this is just, you know, we do some mahogany palm wood platforms, and then here we just use the wood beams that go across and kind of make it look like you can walk across it. And then we have normal fence and our ebon wood fence, I believe. And then we just kind of alternate and paint it all brown, and we leave the palm wood platforms unpainted because they have that kind of green, kind of overgrown look. So other than that, like I said, the tree is pretty interesting to me. It's one thing I'm still trying to work on, trying to see if I play with the background walls and the types, and there's a lot of different ways you can make these. You know, I think there's a corrupt tendril wall. If you paint it green, actually looks pretty good. That might be a couple, you could add bits of that wall in here just to really shake up the look of the tree. But other than that, you know, it's just one of those things that you're going to keep practicing, keep doing, keep working on. And it's, you know, like anything, it takes a bit of time. So guys, let me know what you think. If there's any of these builds that you have any, you know, you would do some drastic changes to, anything you really like about the build, something you recommend trying in terms of a technique or a build itself, because guys, that's what this is all about. We definitely try to make different builds, try to make them interesting, and of course, I try to walk you a bit through the process of my thinking. And again, in this case, I knew I wanted to make a bit of a village, and we will be making more of these sort of builds in the future. But the idea is just simply that you can see them and get a bit of my thinking that goes into it, because I don't have a plan when I go in, guys, but as I'm building, I start to sort of formulate a bit of an idea of what this is going to look like. So don't get it wrong. I don't come in here with a, you know, a whole plan and the architecture all drawn out and then I build it. You know, I wish I did, because it would take me less time, but I really like to freehand it. So again, guys, any questions, any comments, please leave them down below. And yeah, that's the build. All right, guys, so that'll do it for us. Hope you guys enjoyed the build. I'm really enjoying doing these series right now. I'm enjoying this kind of village that we're making and expanding and using the same techniques. Just getting these builds to look a little bit better each time. You can find me again, guys, live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, doing these builds. And obviously, you can feel free to come in and comment or say hi or build something yourself. But with that out of the way, guys, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. We'll see you next time.